The first suitcase catches on the brass lip of the revolving door, and Daniel laughs as he yanks it free. Claire knows that laugh. It is the one he uses when he wants inconvenience to look charming. She is standing 20 feet away beside the mailroom with a paper bag cutting into each palm when her husband walks into the Marlowe with Vanessa Cole, 4 suitcases, and his hand resting on the small of Vanessa's back. Vanessa is wearing Daniel's charcoal raincoat. Before they reach the desk, he bends and kisses her temple. "Evening, Mr. Alvarez," Daniel says. "Vanessa's moving into 8C. We need a second key." He says it as if Claire has already agreed. Mr. Alvarez looks at Vanessa, then at the luggage, then past Daniel toward Claire. His expression barely changes. "I can't issue another key, Mr. Mercer. I'm authorizing it. The owner has to authorize it. I'm her husband." "Yes, sir." Claire says nothing. The desk knows whose name controls access. Vanessa follows Mr. Alvarez's gaze. The blood drains from her face. Daniel turns. For one long second, he looks less like a man caught with his mistress than a man whose surprise party has been spoiled. "What are you doing here?" he asks. The grocery bag in Claire's right hand tears. A lemon drops out, strikes the marble, and rolls under Vanessa's largest suitcase. Nobody bends to retrieve it. "My meeting ended early," Claire says. Daniel glances at the lobby doors, as though there might be another Claire outside whom he would rather deal with. "You were supposed to be in Boston until Friday." "It's Thursday." "I know what day it is." "Apparently." Mr. Alvarez clears his throat. "Mrs. Mercer, would you like assistance with your bags?" The phrase lands with surgical precision. "Your bags." Claire looks down at the groceries. Lemons, parsley, coffee, a loaf of bread she bought because Daniel complained that morning that the bread in the freezer tasted like insulation. "No, thank you." Vanessa slips Daniel's raincoat off her shoulders. Underneath, she wears a cream sweater Claire has seen twice on video calls. Daniel had introduced Vanessa as a branding consultant helping his firm with a hotel proposal. Claire remembers complimenting the sweater while Daniel ate the dinner she had reheated for him. "Claire," Vanessa says, clutching the raincoat in front of herself, "I think there's been a misunderstanding." Claire looks at the 4 suitcases, 2 hard-shell cases, 1 canvas duffel, 1 garment bag with Daniel's firm logo looped around the hanger. "Which part?" Daniel steps between them. "Not here." "Where did you plan to do it?" His jaw tightens. "Upstairs, like adults." Mr. Alvarez becomes very interested in his computer screen. Daniel lowers his voice. "Can we please go upstairs?" "We can. Her luggage can't." Vanessa's fingers close around the raincoat belt. "Daniel said you were separating." Claire looks at him. He lifts one hand. "We are having problems. You know that." "I didn't know they had luggage." A delivery driver enters carrying 6 white bakery boxes. Mr. Alvarez directs him toward the service elevator without looking away from his screen. The normalcy of it makes the scene worse. People still need pastries. Elevators still arrive. Somewhere above them, somebody is probably pouring wine while Claire's marriage waits beside the concierge desk with priority tags attached. Daniel rubs his forehead. "Vanessa's lease ended. This is temporary." "You told him she lives here now." "I was simplifying." "For the concierge?" "For access." The elevator doors open. Claire turns to Mr. Alvarez. "Vanessa may come upstairs as a guest for 1 hour. Please keep the luggage here." Daniel's head snaps toward her. "You don't get to confiscate her belongings." "I'm not confiscating anything. She can take them anywhere she's authorized to live." Mr. Alvarez stands. "I can place them in the package room for the hour, ma'am." "Thank you." Vanessa finally hands Daniel his raincoat. "Maybe I should go." "No," he says too quickly. Then softer. "No, we need to straighten this out." Claire picks up the surviving grocery bag. "Then let's straighten it out." On the elevator, Daniel presses 8 with the side of his thumb. Vanessa stands in the corner beneath the mirrored panel, staring at the floor numbers. Claire notices she has a fresh manicure, pale pink with tiny gold lines. She notices because the alternative is noticing Daniel's hand hovering near Vanessa's elbow. The elevator chimes at 5. Daniel says, "You could have called." Claire lets out a small laugh. She does not mean to. It escapes anyway. "About coming home?" "Yes." "To my apartment?" "Would you stop saying it like that?" "Like what?" "Like I broke in." Vanessa looks up. "He told me it was both of yours." "It is," Daniel says. Claire watches the numbers rise. "You couldn't authorize a key." "That's a building technicality." The elevator opens on 8. Claire walks out first. Apartment 8C sits at the end of the hall, where an old interior window from the building's office days has been fitted with frosted glass. Daniel once said the window made the place look like an accountant's haunted waiting room. Claire had loved it immediately. In the afternoons, sunlight from the living room traveled through the apartment and turned that glass pale green. Her key sticks for half a second in the lock. It has done that since winter. Daniel has promised 3 times to call the locksmith. Inside, the green glass bowl waits on the narrow walnut table by the door. Daniel's key is not in it. His running shoes are lined beneath the bench. Evelyn's red scarf hangs from one of the brass hooks, though Claire asked her to take it home 2 weeks ago. A stack of mail rests on the table, topped by a catalog addressed to Evelyn Mercer at apartment 8C. Vanessa stops in the doorway. Daniel reaches around Claire and drops his key toward the bowl. Claire lifts the bowl before the key lands. The motion is so fast and ordinary that Daniel's hand remains suspended over the empty spot. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Making room." She carries the bowl into the kitchen and sets it beside the coffee maker. A thin black seam curves along its rim where the glass was repaired. Daniel had called the chip hardly visible. Evelyn had said the bowl was too heavy for such a small table anyway. Claire puts the groceries on the counter. The torn bag has left a faint wet stain on her coat from the parsley. Vanessa stays near the entry. "I really can leave." "You should hear this too," Claire says. Daniel closes the door. "Can we not conduct an interrogation? We can have a conversation. You have a funny way of starting one." Claire takes the bread from the bag and sets it between them. "How long?" Daniel looks at Vanessa. It is only a glance, but it contains consultation. Claire points at him. "Don't ask her with your face." Vanessa turns away. Daniel exhales. "It isn't as simple as you want it to be." "How long?" Claire. "Was it before Santa Fe?" He presses both hands onto the kitchen island. The sleeves of his blue shirt pull tight across his forearms. Claire bought him that shirt for the firm's 10th anniversary dinner. He had complained about the price, then worn it in every photograph. "Why Santa Fe?" he asks. "You came home and took the sheets off the bed yourself." Vanessa's eyes close. There it is. Not an answer exactly. Enough of one. Claire feels the kitchen tilt by a fraction. She steadies herself with the back of a chair. Daniel's voice changes. "I didn't plan this." "Which part?" "Any of it." "The affair or the moving truck?" "There was no truck." Vanessa gives him a stunned look. "That's your distinction?" He straightens. "I'm trying to keep this from becoming uglier than it already is." Claire takes out her phone and places it on the island. Second question. "What money paid for her hotel?" "It wasn't a hotel." Vanessa says, "Daniel." He ignores her. "The firm covered legitimate travel expenses." Was Vanessa traveling? She was working. From a furnished apartment on West 29th? His mouth goes still. Claire had seen the charge 3 weeks ago while reconciling the firm's card before a tax meeting. $4,800 to a corporate housing company. Daniel told her it was accommodation for 2 lighting consultants coming from Montreal. She had categorized it, attached the receipt, and reminded him to get their tax forms. Vanessa looks at him. "You said that came from your personal account." "It will. I'm reimbursing it." "With what?" "Can we not do the finances right now?" Claire almost smiles. For 10 years, Daniel has wanted to do the finances whenever a late fee appeared, a deduction was missed, or a client questioned an invoice. Now the finances have become indecent. Third question, she says. Has your mother been letting Vanessa in here? No, he says. Vanessa says nothing. Claire waits. Daniel looks toward the windows. Rain freckles the glass over the sink. On the counter sits a jar of orange marmalade Evelyn likes, though neither Claire nor Daniel eats it. Mom knew Vanessa and I were close, he says. She did not facilitate anything. That wasn't my question. My mother has nothing to do with this. From inside Daniel's coat, his phone begins to ring. The screen lights against the island when he pulls it out. Mom. Claire laughs again, and this time it hurts. Daniel declines the call. It rings immediately. Answer it, Claire says. This isn't helpful. Put her on speaker. No. Vanessa crosses her arms. I'd like to hear what she says. Daniel stares at her. The alliance between them shifts so visibly that Claire can almost hear furniture scraping. He answers. Mom, this is a bad time. Evelyn's voice comes through, bright and impatient. Did Alvarez give her trouble? I told you he would. That man treats the resident list like federal law. No one speaks. Daniel. Claire reaches over and taps the speaker icon. Hello, Evelyn. Silence. Then the faint clicking of a turn signal. Claire. I thought you were away. So did Daniel. That isn't what I meant. What did you mean? I mean, I understood you had a professional commitment. I did. It ended. Evelyn sighs as if Claire has returned early from a vacation specifically to make trouble. Well, perhaps this is for the best. You two have avoided an honest conversation for months. Daniel closes his eyes. Mom, stop. No, somebody has to be practical. Vanessa cannot be left on the sidewalk because Claire's schedule changed. Vanessa flinches. I'm not on the sidewalk. Of course not, dear. Claire watches Daniel. You told your mother Vanessa was moving in. I told her Vanessa needed somewhere to stay. Evelyn cuts in. Daniel has been alone in that apartment half the year. 9 nights since January, Claire says. What? I've traveled 9 nights since January. It feels longer to him. Daniel murmurs, Jesus Christ. Claire's hands are cold now. She tucks them into her coat pockets. Did you enter this apartment with Vanessa while I was away? Evelyn pauses. It is a more honest pause than anything Daniel has given her. I met her there once, Evelyn says. We were reviewing measurements. What measurements? The bedroom wardrobe. Vanessa's head lifts sharply. Daniel moves toward the phone. Claire picks it up before he can reach it. Evelyn continues, gathering confidence from the sound of her own reasoning. There isn't enough closet space for 3 adults, especially with all those suits you never wear. I suggested moving some of your things into the guest room, temporarily. Claire looks down the hall. From the kitchen, she can see the bedroom door standing open. She walks toward it. Daniel follows. Claire, don't. That is the sentence that frightens her most. The left side of the wardrobe belongs to her, or belonged. Her black wool coats have been compressed together at one end. 2 linen dresses lie folded on the bench. A cardboard storage box sits open on the floor, already holding her winter shoes. Vanessa stops behind Daniel. I didn't know she was still living here. Claire turns. Vanessa's face is blotched red above the collar of her cream sweater. He said you'd moved into the Boston condo. I don't own a Boston condo. He said your company did. My company rents conference rooms. Daniel drags a hand down his face. I said she could stay in Boston when she needed to. You said she was staying there, Vanessa snaps. Evelyn's voice crackles from the phone in Claire's hand. These details are not the issue. Claire looks at the box on the floor. On top of her shoes rests a framed photograph that usually sits on Daniel's nightstand. Claire and Daniel on the Marlowe roof the night they became engaged. Someone has placed it face down. Then what is the issue, Evelyn? The issue is that a marriage cannot survive when one person treats every shared thing as private territory. Daniel says, Mom, hang up. But Claire understands at last why he did not apologize in the lobby. Why his first question was what she was doing there. He had expected resistance. He had prepared arguments about loneliness, ownership, generosity, and technicalities. What he had not prepared for was Claire seeing the handoff before he finished rearranging the evidence. She ends the call. For a moment, the three of them stand around the open box. Then Claire walks back to the kitchen, removes the green bowl from beside the coffee maker, and carries it into the small office where she keeps the mortgage statements, tax records, resident documents, and the closing photograph Mr. Alvarez took when she bought the place. She sets the bowl on the desk and locks the door. When she returns, Daniel is waiting by the island. "What now?" he asks. Claire looks at the bread she bought for him, still sealed between them. "Vanessa takes her luggage somewhere else. And me? You pack one bag." His face hardens. "This is my home, too." Claire nods once. That is what makes the next words difficult. "Then you should have protected it." Daniel stares at her as if she has spoken in a language he understands, but considers inappropriate. "You can't throw me out. I'm asking you to stay somewhere else tonight." "And tomorrow?" "I don't know yet." "That's convenient." Vanessa picks up her purse from the entry bench. "I'm leaving." Daniel turns. "Give us a minute. You've had several months." Vanessa. She opens the door, then looks back at Claire. "I'm sorry." Claire hates how much those two words hurt. They are inadequate, possibly self-serving, and still more than Daniel has managed. "Your luggage is downstairs," she says. Vanessa nods and leaves without the raincoat. Daniel listens until the elevator chimes in the hall. "You enjoyed that." "No." "You made her stand there while you humiliated her." Claire looks toward the bedroom where her shoes are waiting in a box somebody else chose for them. "She came here to sleep in my bed." "She came because I told her the marriage was over? Was it?" His anger slips for a second. Underneath is something frightened and almost young. Not innocence, but the shock of discovering that a lie has physical weight. 4 suitcases worth. "I didn't know how to say it," he says. "You knew how to measure the closet." He pushes away from the island. "Fine." The bedroom drawers open and close in hard, uneven bursts. Claire stays in the kitchen and puts away the groceries because parsley wilts, whether a marriage survives or not. The coffee goes into the cabinet. The bread fits exactly where Daniel likes it, on the second shelf instead of the refrigerator. She considers throwing it away and is ashamed of the impulse, as though wasting $6 would be the first truly irrational thing anyone has done all evening. Daniel returns with a leather weekend bag Claire gave him for their 5th anniversary. "I'll stay at the firm." Vanessa's apartment is closer. His laugh is short. "You want honesty, and then you punish every honest answer." "You haven't given me one yet." "I cared about her." "Past tense?" He looks at the floor. Claire nods. "Take the coat." "What?" "It's raining." "I have another one at the office." "Of course you do." He leaves the raincoat draped across the chair. At the door, he reaches automatically toward the walnut table for his keys, finds nothing, then pats his pocket. "I'll be back tomorrow," he says. "We'll talk tomorrow." "I'm not asking permission to enter my home." The lock catches after he pulls the door closed. Claire hears him fight it from the other side, one sharp twist followed by another. Even now, the broken lock is his problem only when it inconveniences him. She waits until the elevator takes him away. Then she goes into the bedroom and sits on the bench beside the open box. The photograph is still face down. She turns it over. On the roof of the Marlowe, Daniel is younger and soaked from a sudden summer storm. Claire's hair is plastered to her cheeks. His mouth is open mid-laugh, and her left hand is raised toward the camera, the new ring catching a stripe of sunlight beneath the clouds. They had brought champagne upstairs and coffee mugs because the building rules prohibited glass on the roof. Claire carries the photograph to the office. The green bowl sits on her desk beside the lamp. She places the frame behind it, closes the door, and locks it again. Her phone shows 9 missed calls, 3 from Daniel, 5 from Evelyn, 1 from Vanessa. The message from Vanessa is only an address. Claire recognizes the corporate housing building on West 29th. Beneath the address, Vanessa has written, "He told me you approved this through the end of the month. I'll leave the keys with the front desk." Claire types 3 different replies and sends none. At 11, Mr. Alvarez calls from downstairs. "Mrs. Mercer, Miss Cole has left the property. A car collected her and all 4 cases. Thank you. There is also a lemon." Claire closes her eyes. "I have it at the desk. You can throw it away." It appears unharmed. Despite herself, she smiles. "Then save it for me. I will place it in the refrigerator." "Of course you will." Before going to bed, she emails building management. She removes Evelyn from her standing guest list, withdraws authorization for packages in Evelyn's name, and requests copies of the current access rules. She does not ask them to disable Daniel's key. The apartment may be in her name, but he lives there, receives mail there, and has contributed to it. She will not imitate his method by deciding in secret what rights the other person has. She sleeps in the guest room because the box of shoes beside her bed makes the bedroom feel occupied. At 7:15, the lobby calls. This time it is not Mr. Alvarez. A woman Claire knows as the morning concierge says, "Mrs. Mercer, Evelyn Mercer is requesting access." Claire sits up. Rain has made the guest room window gray. "Please tell her I'll come down." Evelyn is waiting beside the desk in a camel coat, holding 2 paper cups and the expression of a woman who has been forced to prove her identity at her own bank. "Your building has lost its mind," she says. "I changed your authorization." "I gathered that. Linda acted as if I were a stranger." "To her you are." Evelyn hands Claire one of the cups anyway. Oat milk, 1 sugar. Claire takes it. The order is right. Evelyn has always remembered details that can be turned into evidence of love. They sit in 2 stiff chairs near the lobby fireplace. A gas flame flickers behind glass, though the morning is warm. "Daniel slept on his office sofa," Evelyn says. "That was his choice. He has a slip disc. He has a gym membership he hasn't used since October." Evelyn presses her lips together, briefly offended by the accuracy. "You're enjoying being cruel." Daniel said the same thing. "Perhaps you should consider why 2 people who know you well see the same thing." Claire sets the coffee on the low table. "Did you know he was sleeping with Vanessa?" "I knew he was unhappy." "That isn't an answer." "I suspected there were feelings." "You went into my bedroom with her to measure a wardrobe. Why?" "Because Daniel asked me." The simplicity of it is worse than an excuse. Claire leans back. "Did it occur to you to call me?" "And say what?" "Your husband is miserable, but you're too busy correcting his invoices to notice." "His invoices pay your hotel bills." Evelyn's face tightens. "Daniel pays when I stay in the city. Daniel submits the receipts to the firm. I process them. That is between me and my son." "No, it's between the person spending the money and the person explaining it to an accountant." The fireplace clicks off. Without the flame, the glass reflects them. Evelyn poised and pale, Claire barefoot inside loafers she put on too quickly. Evelyn folds her hands over her handbag. "I will admit the timing was mishandled." The timing. Vanessa's lease had ended. Daniel felt cornered. You were supposed to be away, and he believed a clean transition would spare everyone a prolonged scene. By moving her in before I came home. You travel constantly, 9 nights. Stop saying 9 as if loneliness is measured by a hotel receipt. Claire studies her. Evelyn wants Daniel protected, but not merely because he is her son. She wants the version of the family in which the apartment is always open. Dinner appears at 7, reservations are corrected, birthdays are remembered, and nobody asks what those comforts cost Claire. Vanessa was not an accident. She was an applicant. "Your packages will no longer be accepted here," Claire says. "Anything already downstairs needs to be collected by Friday." "My packages? You have 12. I do not have 12 packages. Then Friday should be easy." Evelyn rises. "I have a cardiology appointment this afternoon. Claire knows. She booked it, confirmed the referral, and arranged a car for 2:30. The car information is in your email. You're not coming. No. Evelyn's composure cracks by a hair. I don't like hearing medical information alone. Ask Daniel. He has a presentation. So do I. Claire walks to the desk and asks for her lemon. Mr. Alvarez retrieves it from the staff refrigerator in a small brown lunch bag. He has written 8C on the outside in blue marker. Evelyn watches him hand it over. This is absurd, she says. Claire looks at the lemon, perfectly yellow, not even bruised. I thought it was gone. Upstairs, Daniel is waiting outside the apartment. He's wearing yesterday's shirt and holding 2 coffees in a cardboard tray. His key is in his other hand. You changed Mom's access. Yes. You left her in the lobby. I came down. You embarrassed her in front of the staff. The staff told her she needed permission. If that embarrasses her, we've identified the problem. Daniel unlocks the door after the usual struggle. He sets 1 coffee on the walnut table, directly in the empty place where the bowl used to be. I got your flat white. I already have coffee. You hate lobby coffee. It is true, mister. Alvarez's lemon will probably have a better morning than her stomach. Daniel walks into the kitchen and notices the raincoat still on the chair. He touches the shoulder, then pulls his hand away. Vanessa is leaving the apartment on 29th, Claire says. I know. Did the firm pay for it? I told you I'm reimbursing the firm. Today. I need to move some things around. Today, Daniel. He leans against the counter. Do you hear yourself? You're giving me orders like I'm an employee. When you use money I help account for, I'm going to ask where it went. You help. That doesn't make it yours. No. The partnership agreement makes some of it mine. 4%. You gave me 4% because you couldn't pay me during your first bad year. And you've brought it up ever since. Claire looks at him. I have never brought it up. The silence confirms that he knows this. Daniel turns toward the window. I have the bellwether proposal due at noon. I need the final cost sheets. They're on the shared drive. They aren't formatted. Then format them. He faces her slowly. You said you'd do it. Yesterday morning, before you tried to move another woman into my home. Claire, if the proposal fails, 6 people lose weeks of work. You knew the deadline when you were packing my closet. He grabs his coffee hard enough to bend the lid. This is exactly what I mean. You turn everything into a test, and the second someone disappoints you, you withdraw. The word lands because it contains a version of the truth. Claire has always survived anger by becoming useful somewhere else. She opens the refrigerator and puts the lemon in the produce drawer. I'm not withdrawing, she says. I'm stopping. Daniel watches her as if the distinction frightens him. By 10:30, his project manager has sent Claire 4 messages. The first is polite, the second urgent, the third apologetic, the fourth simply, do you happen to know which labor assumptions Daniel used? Claire knows exactly which assumptions he used. She also knows where the missing subcontractor estimate sits in his inbox and which number will make the proposal balance. She closes the messages. At noon, she moves her salary deposit to an individual account and leaves enough in the household account to cover the mortgage, utilities, insurance, and the automatic payments due that month. She downloads every statement. Her hands shake while she does it, not because the action is dramatic, but because it is not. A marriage can be altered by 6 drop-down menus and a blue button marked Confirm. Daniel returns at 4 carrying his laptop, a grocery bag, and a bunch of white tulips. The proposal went in, he says. I'm glad. 43 minutes late. She waits. He sets the tulips in the sink. Bellwether accepted it anyway. I'm glad, she says again. He looks disappointed by the absence of either guilt or satisfaction. I called a lawyer, he says. Claire's fingers pause over her keyboard. I'm not threatening you. I needed to know where I stand. And I contributed to the renovation. I paid part of the mortgage for 7 years. The fact that your name is on the deed doesn't mean you can erase me. I didn't say it did. You removed my mother's access and told me to leave. For one night. It starts with one night. He takes a folded sheet from his jacket and places it beside her computer. It is a list of renovation payments, mortgage transfers, and furnishings purchased from his account. Some amounts are precise, others are estimates. The total at the bottom is high enough to make Claire sit back. "My lawyer says I may have a claim," he says. "May? He needs documents." Claire thinks of the office door, the green bowl, the mortgage file stacked behind it. For the first time since the lobby, the apartment does not feel like solid ground. It feels like a question with walls. Daniel lowers his voice. "I'm not trying to take it from you." "What are you trying to do?" "Keep you from deciding that one terrible thing means I leave with nothing." "One?" He flinches. Then he takes his key from his pocket and places it on the walnut table. With the bowl gone, the metal hits bare wood and makes a thin, ugly sound. Claire reads the total again. "You counted the sofa." "I bought the sofa." "You counted the dining chairs at replacement value. They're still here." One of them wobbles. Daniel pulls out the offending chair and sits in it. It does not wobble for him. "This is why I wanted us to talk before lawyers," he says. "You called one first, because you changed the bank deposits, my salary deposits, money that supports this household. The household still has enough for every bill." "That isn't the point." Claire folds the list once, then again. "The point is that you noticed my money leaving before you noticed me leaving. You're standing right in front of me." She puts the paper in her laptop bag. Exactly. The lawyer Claire sees the next afternoon has a narrow office overlooking a ventilation shaft and a habit of removing her glasses whenever she says something Claire will not enjoy. "Do not change the locks," she says. "I wasn't planning to." "Good. Do not dispose of his belongings. Do not drain joint accounts. And do not assume sole title makes every other question simple." Claire looks at the framed rowing photograph on the wall. His list includes a toaster. People put strange things on lists when they're frightened. He slept with someone else. The lawyer removes her glasses. That does not turn his contributions into gifts. Claire hates Daniel for being right enough to require paperwork. She spends the evening copying mortgage statements and renovation invoices while he cooks mushroom risotto in the kitchen. He plays no music. The apartment fills with butter, thyme, and the soft scrape of a wooden spoon against the pan. At 7, he knocks on the office door. "Food's ready." "I'm not hungry." "You haven't eaten since breakfast." Claire opens the door. "How would you know?" "You left the yogurt cup in the sink." For half a second, the old machinery of their marriage starts up. He notices, she softens. He cooks. She fixes the document he forgot. 1,000 small exchanges that once felt like intimacy. Then she sees the green bowl on the desk behind her. "I'll eat later." He looks past her at the bowl. "Why is that in here?" "I moved it." "I can see that." "You didn't notice yesterday." "I had other things on my mind." "So did I." He sets a plate outside the door anyway. Claire eats the risotto cold at 10:30 and hates that it is good. Daniel begins sleeping in the guest room. He comes home at predictable hours, announces where he has been, and places his key on the bare walnut table each night. Every morning he picks it up with a scrape that carries down the hall. He reimburses the firm for Vanessa's apartment. He emails Claire the transfer receipt without comment. He also produces a consulting agreement showing that Vanessa had, in fact, worked on the hotel proposal. Her invoices are real. The hours match files on the firm's server. The corporate apartment was an expense Daniel should not have hidden, but it is not the theft Claire thought she had found. "I lied about who was staying there," he says. "I didn't invent the work." They are sitting at opposite ends of the dining table, the wobbling chair between them. "Congratulations." "I'm not asking for congratulations." "What are you asking for?" "Accuracy." The word stings because it belongs to Claire. Daniel has spent years teasing her for needing every date and amount to line up. Now he is using precision to make the betrayal seem smaller. Accurately, Claire says. You paid your mistress to consult for your company, put her in corporate housing, told me it was for 2 men from Montreal, and then tried to move her into my bedroom. Our bedroom? She closes her laptop. Thank you for the correction. Vanessa does not answer Claire's single reply to the address message. The apartment keys are left at the front desk on West 29th, just as she promised. After that, her number goes directly to voicemail. Daniel says she has ended the contract. Claire cannot tell whether Vanessa has ended anything else. Evelyn collects her packages on Friday. Claire knows because she comes home to find 12 boxes stacked on a brass luggage cart near the service entrance. Evelyn stands beside them, arguing with a doorman about a carton of Italian mineral water. That is for 8C, she says. It is addressed to you, Mrs. Mercer. At 8C, you're no longer authorized for deliveries there. Evelyn spots Claire and lifts both hands. Would you please explain that water is not a security threat? Claire checks the label. It's yours. I bought it for the apartment. Then you can take it home and think of us. The doorman coughs into his fist. Evelyn lowers her voice. Must you perform this? We're beside a loading dock. You know what I mean. 2 boxes contain shoes. 3 contain specialty food Evelyn orders because the Marlowe's package room is climate controlled. 1 long carton holds a lamp Claire has never seen. What is that? Claire asks. For the guest room. The lighting in there is punitive. You ordered furniture for my apartment. It was on sale. Claire looks at the printed shipping date. The lamp was ordered 3 days before Vanessa arrived. Evelyn reaches for the carton, but Claire keeps one hand on it. Was this for her? It was for the room. Which room did you expect her to sleep in? Evelyn turns toward the waiting car. Ask your husband. I did. And did his answer satisfy you? No. Then perhaps answers aren't what you want. Evelyn gets into the car, leaving the driver to fit the boxes into the trunk and back seat. The mineral water has to ride in front. As the car pulls away, the lamp carton protrudes between the seats like an unwanted passenger. Claire goes upstairs and removes Evelyn's marmalade from the kitchen cabinet. She sets it in a grocery bag with the red scarf and 2 silk blouses from the guest room closet. Daniel finds the bag by the door. You're clearing out Mom's things? Her things are going to her home. She stays here for appointments. She can stay at a hotel, which you'll call a misuse of firm money. If the firm isn't treating her heart, it probably is. He takes the marmalade from the bag. This costs $9. Then don't let it go to waste. He puts it back in the cabinet. Claire removes it the next morning. For several days, the jar migrates between the cabinet and the bag. Neither of them mentions it. On the 4th morning, Daniel eats the marmalade on toast and leaves the empty jar rinsed beside the sink. It is such a ridiculous victory that Claire laughs when she sees it. That night, Daniel asks if she will attend counseling. 1 session, he says. If you hate it, we stop. I don't hate counseling. You hate paying someone to ask questions you already know the answers to. That sounds like something I said on our 3rd date. She remembers the restaurant. Bad oysters, excellent martinis. Daniel drawing designs on a paper napkin because the room's lighting annoyed him. He had listened when she spoke, not waited to respond. Listened. What would you say in counseling? She asks. That I was lonely. You had an affair because I took 9 nights of work travel? No. He rubs both hands over his face. I had an affair because Vanessa looked at me like I was still becoming something. Claire says nothing. You look at me like I'm late. You usually are. He smiles despite himself, then loses it. That's what I mean. And your mother? What about her? She looked at Vanessa and saw somebody easier to train. That's unfair, is it? My mother likes being needed. Your mother likes deciding what everyone needs. She was trying to help me. She helped you pack my shoes. Daniel looks toward the office door. You were unhappy too. Yes. Then why is my unhappiness evidence and yours is just background? The question follows Claire into the night. It sits beside her in bed while Daniel sleeps on the other side of the wall. She had been unhappy. She'd corrected invoices at midnight and told herself competence was love. She had accepted Evelyn's packages because refusal required a conversation. She had agreed to dinners she did not want, then resented Daniel for enjoying them. None of that put Vanessa in the lobby, but it makes the marriage harder to dismiss as one clean wound. Claire agrees to one counseling appointment. Before it happens, Daniel's project manager calls her. "I'm sorry," Mara says. "I know things are complicated." Claire stands at her office window, watching steam rise from a rooftop vent. "What do you need?" "The Harcourt revision went out with the old labor schedule." "I'm not handling revisions." "I know. Daniel said you were on leave." "Did he?" "He said temporary leave." Claire closes her eyes. "Mara, I'm not an employee. I own 4% of the partnership, and I've been doing administrative work without salary." There is a pause. "I didn't know that," Mara says. "I know. If the Harcourt numbers stay as they are, we lose the margin. Then Daniel needs to correct them. He's at Bellwether. He has a phone." Mara exhales. "I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking where the current schedule is." Claire tells her the folder path. It takes 12 seconds. After the call, Claire sits down and wonders whether she just protected 6 people or protected Daniel from the consequence of believing her labor would always remain available. That evening, he brings home champagne. "Bellwether shortlisted us." "That's good. It's very good." He reaches for 2 glasses, then stops. "Can we celebrate one thing without making it a referendum?" Claire lets him pour. The champagne is too warm. Daniel sits on the counter and tells her about the presentation room, the client who kept checking his watch, the mechanical engineer who saved them with an answer about ventilation. He is funny when he is relieved. Claire laughs twice. He watches her over the rim of his glass. "I miss you," he says. "You're looking at me." "You know what I mean." She does. That is the danger. The counseling appointment is careful and miserable. Daniel admits the affair without minimizing it. He says he told Vanessa the marriage was over because he wanted to become the man capable of ending it before he actually was. Claire says she no longer knows whether his tenderness is love or risk management. The counselor asks what repair would look like. Daniel says, transparency. Claire says, distance. Neither answer changes by the end of the hour. Outside, Daniel offers her his umbrella. She has her own, but they walk together to the subway beneath his, because it is easier than opening both. At home, an envelope waits at the concierge desk. Mr. Alvarez has prepared the guest entry records Claire requested. "I included the electronic log and the handwritten book," he says. "The electronic system was replaced last fall, so earlier entries are less complete." "Thank you." He hesitates. "Mrs. Mercer, Mr. Mercer asked whether staff had discussed the lobby incident with residents." "What did you tell him?" "That staff do not discuss residents." "Has anyone?" "Not to my knowledge." Claire studies him. "Are you worried about your job?" "No, ma'am. It sounds practiced. Daniel was angry with you for refusing the key." "I followed the file." "You did." She signs for the envelope and takes it upstairs. The records cover 9 months. Evelyn's name appears 31 times. On 11 occasions, Daniel was not in the building when she entered. Claire had approved some visits and forgotten them. Others correspond to dinners, deliveries, the cardiology referral. 3 do not. One is the afternoon the green bowl was chipped. One is a night Daniel told Claire he was working late. The third is 6 weeks before the lobby, when Claire was giving a presentation in Philadelphia. Evelyn entered at 3:14. Vanessa signed in at 3:22. Daniel arrived at 5:47. Claire lays the pages across the dining table. When Daniel comes home, she points to the entries. He reads them without sitting. "You said your mother never let Vanessa in." "I didn't know about this." "She measured my closet with her." "I knew about that visit, not this one." "What happened on this one?" "I don't know." "You expect me to believe they spent 2.5 hours here without you and never mentioned it?" His face changes, but not in the way Claire expects. He looks genuinely alarmed. "I'll ask Mom." "Do it here." Evelyn does not answer his first call, or his second. On the third, she declines it. Daniel stares at his phone. That's strange. No, Claire says. That's risk. He looks up. For the first time since the lobby, they are not standing on opposite sides of the same fact. Daniel leaves a message telling Evelyn to call him immediately. She does not. The next day is Claire and Daniel's anniversary. At 4, Daniel texts that he will stay late at the firm and give her the apartment. Claire cancels the dinner reservation she never made and buys soup from the place around the corner. At 7:12, she's at the dining table with the access logs, the green bowl beside them, when the deadbolt begins to turn. Claire looks toward the walnut table. Daniel's key is not there. The door opens and Evelyn walks in, carrying the copied emergency key. Vanessa follows her with a covered silver dish. Claire does not stand. Evelyn closes the door with her heel. Happy anniversary. Vanessa looks from Claire to the green bowl on the dining table. You said Daniel was here. He will be, Evelyn says. The silver dish smells faintly of rosemary and roasted chicken. Evelyn has also brought a bottle of Barolo and a white bakery box tied with string. She sets everything on the kitchen counter with the brisk confidence of someone arriving late to a dinner she organized. Claire looks at the key in Evelyn's hand. Where did you get that? Evelyn slips it into her handbag. It's for emergencies. Daniel gave it to you? We made a copy months ago. You were both traveling and the plumber needed access. We haven't had a plumber here in 2 years. It may have been the electrician. Vanessa remains by the door. I shouldn't have come. That thought is getting familiar, Claire says. Evelyn removes her coat. We are not doing this in the hallway again. Vanessa has documents that will settle the financial accusations. Daniel has agreed to speak honestly, and I brought dinner so nobody has an excuse to leave. You brought your own key. Why would anyone need an excuse? The lock scrapes. Daniel enters carrying his laptop case and stops when he sees them. What the hell? Evelyn turns toward him. Please don't begin that way. You told me you were going home. I told you I would handle it. Handle what? The damage caused by everyone refusing to sit in one room. Daniel looks at Vanessa. Did you know I wasn't here? No. Claire slides the access log across the table. Your mother prefers rooms before their owners arrive. Daniel does not pick up the pages. His gaze fixes on Evelyn's handbag. Did you use the emergency key? It exists to be used. I told you it was only if something happened. Something has happened. Claire reaches for the green bowl and places it in the center of the table. Put the key in here. Evelyn laughs once. Claire, don't be theatrical. Put it in the bowl. You intend to lock me out anyway. You were already locked out. You copied your way back in. Daniel holds out his hand. Give me the key, Mom. Evelyn looks at him, waiting for the softened expression that usually follows his irritation. It does not come. She digs through her bag and drops the key into the bowl. Metal strikes repaired glass with a low, hard clink. Claire looks at Vanessa. Why are you here? Vanessa sets the covered dish beside the door as if she does not want it mistaken for a contribution anymore. Evelyn said Daniel had blamed me for charges that were legitimate. She asked me to bring copies of my invoices and explain the contract. I didn't blame you, Daniel says. You stopped answering me. You told me never to call again. I told you not to call until you told Claire the truth. Evelyn pulls out a chair. Wonderful. We can now determine what the truth actually is. No, Claire says. You can answer one question. What were you and Vanessa doing here 6 weeks ago? Daniel finally picks up the log. Vanessa looks at Evelyn. You said she knew. I said Claire knew the marriage was in trouble. You said she agreed I could start moving things gradually. Daniel grips the pages. Moving what things? Vanessa's eyes fill, but her voice stays level. Mine. The room goes quiet enough that Claire hears the refrigerator cycle on. Evelyn reaches for the wine. This is exactly why context matters. Daniel takes the bottle from her hand and puts it back on the counter. You brought her here to move in 6 weeks ago? To see the space. You told me you met once to measure the closet. We did measure it. Before I told Claire anything. You had told me plenty. Vanessa opens her purse and removes several folded pages. He showed me messages. Claire does not look at Daniel. What messages? Between you and him. About Boston, about needing space. One where you said, I can't keep living like this. Claire remembers writing it after Evelyn hosted a Sunday lunch for 8 in the apartment, used Claire's good towels to polish serving trays, and left every dish in the sink. Did you see the rest of that conversation? She asks. Vanessa looks down. Daniel says, I didn't alter anything. You cropped it. I showed her what you said. You showed me what you needed me to believe, Vanessa says. He goes pale. Claire expects satisfaction. What comes instead is exhaustion. Vanessa places the pages beside the access log. Evelyn told me Claire had agreed to stay in Boston while you worked out the property settlement. She said moving my clothes first would make the transition less abrupt. Evelyn sits straighter. You were in a difficult housing position. You offered me Claire's desk. Claire glances toward the locked office. Evelyn's mouth tightens. You needed somewhere to work. You told me I could take over the firm's administrative side because Claire resented it. Daniel looks at his mother. What? You complain about it constantly. I complain that Claire corrects everything I do. And Vanessa was willing to support you without making you feel incompetent. Vanessa laughs, but there is no humor in it. There it is. Evelyn turns to her. I defended you. You interviewed me. I welcomed you. You wanted somebody who would answer your calls, book your appointments, host your dinners, and tell Daniel he was brilliant while doing half his job. Evelyn's face goes still. Claire touches the thin black repair line on the bowl. For years, Evelyn's insults arrived wrapped in requests. Vanessa has stripped off the wrapping in one sentence. Daniel sits in the wobbling chair. This time it shifts beneath him. Did you let Vanessa in here when I was at the office? He asks. Yes. Did you go through Claire's things? I moved a few coats. Did you put the photograph face down? Evelyn looks toward the hall. It seemed insensitive to leave an engagement photograph beside the bed. Claire watches Daniel absorb that. He cannot pretend his mother misunderstood. She understood perfectly. She simply believed Claire's place could be prepared for another woman before Claire was informed. Daniel looks at Claire. I didn't know. You gave her the key. For emergencies. You gave her access. Every time I objected, you told me to be generous. Every time she crossed a line, you moved the line. I didn't tell her to do this. You taught her I would absorb it. Evelyn stands. Daniel made serious mistakes. So did you. He has spent years trying to build a life with someone who treats affection like an invoice. Claire looks at the access records, Vanessa's documents, the anniversary dinner cooling near the door. What did my marriage protect, Evelyn? Your pride, apparently. No, it protected your packages, your city appointments, your guest room, Daniel's deadlines. It protected everyone's comfort except mine. Daniel's face folds slightly, but Claire does not stop. When your son brought his mistress into the lobby, he was angry that I came home early, not ashamed, inconvenienced, because he thought the building, the firm, you, and eventually Vanessa would help him move me out of my own life without one uncomfortable conversation. I was ashamed, Daniel says. After Alvarez refused the key, he looks down. Claire lifts the copied key from the bowl and places it on top of the access log. I'm canceling counseling. I'm asking my lawyer to prepare a separation proposal. Your renovation contributions will be accounted for, Daniel. So will the mortgage payments, shared expenses, and the unpaid work I did for the firm. We can disagree about numbers through people we pay to have those conversations. Evelyn stares at her. You would end a marriage over a key? No, the key just made the marriage visible. Vanessa picks up the silver dish. Leave it, Evelyn says sharply. I cooked it. You said you bought it? I said I brought it. For the first time that evening, Daniel almost smiles. It disappears before it forms. Vanessa looks at Claire. I knew he was married. Whatever he told me, I knew that. I'm sorry. Claire believes her. Belief does not make forgiveness appear. You should go. Vanessa nods. At the door, she turns to Daniel. You didn't want a new life. You wanted the old one with someone new, doing Claire's part. She leaves with the chicken. Evelyn reaches for her coat. You'll regret letting humiliation make decisions for you. Claire opens the apartment door. I made dinner, Evelyn says, as if this is the final evidence. You made a reservation in somebody else's home. Daniel does not defend her. Evelyn puts on her coat, takes the wine, and leaves the cake. The elevator arrives. Her heels recede down the hall. Daniel stays in the wobbling chair, his hands hanging between his knees. After a while, he says, She was wrong about one thing. Claire waits. I did want a new life. That doesn't help. I know. He looks toward the office. I loved that you could make things work. Then I started resenting that you knew how much work they took. The honesty is late and imperfect. It is still honesty. Where will you sleep? Claire asks. The firm. Tonight? Until we have something in writing. She nods. He packs more than one bag this time. He takes shirts, shoes, his razor, 2 framed drawings, and the raincoat Vanessa wore into the lobby. Before leaving, he carries the cake to the refrigerator. It'll go bad on the counter, he says. Then he places his key in the green bowl. Claire keeps her promise about the money. The calculations take weeks and are uglier than either list suggested. Daniel's renovation payments matter. So do years of mortgage contributions. Claire's work for the firm is harder to price because so much of it happened after dinner, without invoices or timesheets. Her 4% interest gives her leverage, not victory. She accepts a settlement that requires refinancing the apartment and living more carefully than she has in years. Daniel receives credit for documented contributions and buys her partnership share in installments. Mara is promoted into a paid operations role and discovers that correcting Daniel's schedules is a full-time job. Claire keeps the Marlowe. Daniel keeps Bellwether, though the project earns less after he hires people to perform work. Claire once folded invisibly into their marriage. He moves into a rental across town with narrow windows, a small kitchen, and a concierge who does not know him. Evelyn stays in a hotel for her next cardiology appointment. She emails Claire once to ask whether the restaurant near the hospital still keeps a quiet corner table. Claire replies with the restaurant's phone number. Daniel returns to 8C on a Sunday afternoon for the last of his books. The apartment looks larger with the guest room closet empty. He carries a box to the door, then pauses beside the walnut table. The green bowl is back in its old place. You repaired it, he says, a long time ago. I never noticed the line. I know. He runs one finger near the dark seam without touching it. Mom said she chipped it with her purse. She dropped her keys into it from across the entry. Daniel closes his eyes. That sounds like her. It sounded like us. He lifts the box. I'm sorry, Claire. This time, he does not attach loneliness, Vanessa, Evelyn, or the word but. Claire lets the apology remain what it is, something true that cannot restore what it names. I know, she says. After the separation agreement is signed and Daniel formally changes his residence, building management rekeys the apartment. Mr. Alvarez comes upstairs at the end of his shift with a small white envelope. The lock should turn more smoothly now, he says. It's been sticking since winter. So I noticed. Claire opens the envelope. One key is attached to a plain brass ring. The other is the only authorized spare. Would you like us to keep it at the desk? He asks. She thinks of emergency copies, standing permissions, and how easily convenience became entitlement. Yes, she says. Sealed with my authorization required. Mr. Alvarez nods. Of course. Claire walks him to the door, tests the new lock once, and closes it. Evening light passes through the old frosted window, casting a pale green rectangle across the floor. Claire takes her key from the brass ring and drops it into the repaired glass bowl. The note is clean and singular. This time, the sound belongs to her.